Good day and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Pelisa Mafunda and I'm a financial wellness coach and an author of the book Healing the Wounds of Debt. Today I want us to talk about healing our money stories or healing your money story. What is the money story? Alright, a money story is a personal perception around money, your personal perception that you have around money. This is formed by the beliefs, the stories that you have seen, and the stories that you have around when you were still a child. So while you were a child in the first early on or in the early ages of your life, when money was introduced to you, you then take those stories, those beliefs, and those stories that you were told, and then they become your money story. That's basically it. It's a personal perception that we have towards money. Each and every person has their own money story because we grew up from different backgrounds, and we grew up from different homes where our parents and our great grandparents had different perceptions about money. But it is possible that people from the same background or from the same household to have different money stories because we see and view things from the point of view that is only directed to us. We have our own personal point of view in just about anything. Someone might see something that is gray, and then the next person might say this thing is not gray, this thing is white. Someone might say it's not white, it's off-white. So we have our own different views and our own different interpretations when it comes to the things that we view, or when it comes to different aspects of life. So we can have the same people, can be like raised by the same parents, but have different money stories or different perception about money, even though we grew up in the same area or in the same home where we had the same beliefs, or where we were raised by the same beliefs. But how it then reached our mind and then we narrated it, it was going to be totally different, because we are, at the end of the day, individuals. So a money story is a personal perception that each and every individual has around money. Then your money story is, okay, let me say this, your current relationship with money is the result of your money story, or it is the result of how you perceived money when you were growing up. All right, your sister could view money as something that gives a person power, and when you would view you would view money with the perception that it gives a person a position to be a bully. You see, someone might like look at it, it's the same people, they grew up from the same area or from the same household, they are looking up to the same person with the same amount of money, but they then interpreted it in the different way. The other person looked at the money as, let me simplify this example. So there's two of us, we have a father who, when they get to the person home gatherings, they we look at them, they as if they have power, like there's nothing that's going to happen without them. So whatever decisions that we need to make in the family, our father has to be there because he has money. So there's two of us, we are children. The other one loves what is going on, the other one doesn't love what is going on. So the other one might love it because he sees the father as the person who has power. Then the other one might not love it because he sees, or she sees, the father as a person who bullies people just because they have money. So they are looking up at the same person, but they have their two different opinions and there are two different perceptions. So obviously, as these two people grow up, they will then have their own money stories based on what they perceived when they were still growing up. So chances are the person who saw their father as a person with power, they might uh work hard, maybe misuse the money and misinterpret having money as, the more I have money, the more power I have. Yet the other one might find themselves sabotaging themselves in having money because they believe that the people who have money are treated differently at their home, and they somehow get the bullying kind of power. So you see, that is now the money. That is how I can simplify this thing of the money story. So when we then grow up, we have those stories, we live those stories, we write our own stories for our own children based on how we perceived money when we were growing up, and how what experiences we had when we were growing up, and again also based on basically on the experiences that we had when we were growing up. Then we can then now start to write our own stories, but the influence is more on the how we view it, how it was introduced to it, and even though the introduction was there, how we then received it. So your current money situation is a result of how you perceived the money story, or how you perceived the money when it was introduced to you at a young age, what you absorbed. All right. So if you currently do not have money, you need to ask yourself, why is this? What is it that I ask, or what is it that I believe about money that is making me to be in this current money situation? I'll make an example. I've made this example in one of the live streams that I was doing on the Facebook page, where I said, one of my money stories I heard from my grandmother. I didn't know it. I don't remember the events, but my grandmother, when she was talking to me about it, and it was like in a very casual way, in a funny way, there was like, I hadn't done any kind of a going and asking my grandmother, Mama, how was I when I was growing up? She just told me, and for me, I saw this as a blessing because it was something that I realized I needed to heal. All right, my story goes like this. My grandmother says, when we used to, I was raised by my grandmother, so we would often visit my mother. Then she says to me, when we had visited my mother, and now we are in a taxi rank going back home, my mother would then give me money, for pocket money, just to well, all what most parents do, would give our children money. Then my grandmother said I would then disappear and go to a street vendor and buy all kinds of foods, apples, sausage, everything that the street vendor sells, with all that amount of money immediately. So that is how I grew up. I grew up doing those things. I would receive money, and then I would use it at the same time. Then when I then started to have my own money, I would have money. I would use all of it. Well, I would use all of it, like the random monies that come in, not my salary. Like if I would like have someone saying, I have this amount of money, can you sell me this, or anything, just the money that came in at that random money, I would not use it properly. I would just use it on just about anything, but I would just get rid of it and use it, all of it. So it's one of the stories that I needed to heal. I was not aware of this when my grandmother told me the story. And then I asked myself, so how is this story, my, like when I was sitting with myself doing my personal development work, my inner work, I then asked myself, I thought of the story, and how is it affecting me? Then I realized I had this trend of the random monies that I was getting, because now remember, as much as I was young, I was not expecting a salary or anything, but the money that my mother was giving me, it was just random money. So the random monies that would come into my account that I had not planned for, that I never thought I was going to have. When you are employed, you know that I'm going to be paid this amount of money at the end of the month. So that's the money that you plan for. I'm going to take this amount and do this and do this. Then maybe in the middle of the month, you get random money, just random money. I used to have a lot of get rich quick schemes and a whole lot of things that would give me random money. But that money, when it comes into my account, I would immediately think of buying something, whether my lunch for the day is going to be great. I will just go and spend it all on lunch or anything, but I will just use it carelessly and not even worry about accounting for it. Then when I heard the story, then I started to heal, because now there was an awareness of, okay, this behavior of me, because now I started to pay attention on how am I behaving around money. Then I started to realize, oh, okay, this behavior of me taking money, random monies, and using it anyhow and buying just about anything that I didn't need 5 minutes before the money came into my account, but the moment the money comes into my account, I all of a sudden have an urge to use that money. So it's now I started to realize, oh, it's coming from that childhood money story. Then I started to work towards this, because now I was aware. I started doing the healing. How did I do the healing? Because it's important for you to know how to do the healing. So I started to like write it down. These are the old habits. Where are these old habits coming from? They're coming from the story that my grandmother told me, that when I used to receive money from my mother, random money, I'll just go and use it all at the same time within that particular day. Then what is the story that I want to now start writing for myself? I want to develop a sense of calmness when I receive money. There's no need for me to, when I receive random money, I just go and use it. But what I do is I just keep it in my account, think what is it that I need, and if there's nothing that I need, invest it somewhere else, or do something that I'm going to say, I bought this thing, it was something that I like needed, or it was part of the plan, or I just keep it and until I receive my salary or my lump sum, and I know that, okay, it's adding up on top of the money that I received, maybe on whatever day that I wasn't expecting it. So I started to write that story, and then I started to respect money. Then when money comes into my account, there's no longer a panic. So I've changed that. Obviously, it takes time. I did a lot of calming myself, getting used to money, exercises like getting familiar with the money that is in my account, getting familiar with having a positive balance in my account. Those are the things that I started. It started little by little. And obviously, I didn't punish myself. If I felt like I wanted a slice of cake, I would go and buy it. But it was no longer about me having the urge to use that money. So one of the healing techniques that I use the most for me is tapping. I tap, EFT tapping. I tapped out that. So you start tapping. You tap in the I don't know, it's called meridian points or something like that. You tap in here, 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 under the eye, under the nose, on the chin, and in the collarbone, and here under the what is that, in the bra strip. I don't know what's that area. I don't know what's that. So I started to tap. So I have a PDF kind of form that I've developed, that I use to heal each and every money story that I realize. So what I would do, I would write it down, even though I had done this when I was young. I choose to love and accept myself. Then I would then tap out the negative and then tap in the positive that I want to start to, live, or the story that I want to start writing going forward. Then that is how healing happens. So the important thing when you identify your money story is to then determine how are you planning to change the story, because identifying and having this awareness and doing nothing about it, and not deciding on writing a new story for your money, then that is not going to help. You're still going to be like, no, I'm like that, I know I'm like that, I've taken it from so and so, I was like that from the time I was young. And how is it changing you? How are you changing yourself when it comes to that? So importantly is, when you then identify your story, uh write down how do you then want to move forward, and how do you want to change this particular story, because we've got different money stories. Like I said, the people who have my book, they know that I have a money story of when I was young. We used to have food for 2 weeks, Then when I started to work, my money would last me for 2 weeks. Then the remaining 2 weeks I'll live on, please borrow me 50 rands, please borrow me this amount, please borrow this amount. That is one of the money stories that I had to heal. Now I'm telling you about this. When I used to receive random monies, I used to use all of that money and not even care, because it was not part of my income. That's how I used to put it. It was not part of my income. It was pure luck. It's the money that I just received it, so I can use it anyhow. But when my grandmother told me about the story, I still don't remember it. I can't picture it, but I know that she wouldn't tell me something just for Jay. Then when I heard that story, then I came back to my book, and then I went into my PDF, healing PDF, and I wrote down, this is how I want to change. This is how I want. And then I started to develop my own EFT tapping, you know, healing technique. It's a healing technique. Then I did that. Now I have an awareness, and I've changed that story. So that is also how you can change your story. Look at the current situation of your money, ask yourself, where is it originating? Then write a new story and live that story. Yes, you will have challenges, because like I said, I would have days where I'm like, let me buy, even if it's just 20 rand. I would not like go on and punish myself, because I know that if I resist, it's going to persist, and at some point I'm going to then go on full force and break and like use all that money. So when I have that small anyana edge, I would like, okay, let me buy myself a piece of cake. But I still didn't use all of the money until I started to be in a point where money comes into my account. I don't even bother if there's nothing I needed to buy. I use it, and life goes on. So yes, go home, take your journal, and heal your money story. Thank you again for coming in. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you.